Hello everybody, welcome back to Valley of the Mist, Block of the Month. I'm Adriane Ritter.
And I'm Shelly McNeely.
And we are here with our December 2021 Block of the Month. Like always, go to the Valley of the Mist Quilt Guild's website and you can get a copy of the instructions with photos, but in the notes I also have the instructions without the photos. Hey, it's December!
I know. We're gonna use up scraps.
Use up scraps and keep it easy.
Yes.
You're not doing something hard this month, are you, Shelly?
Not planning on it.
Okay. All right. All right. Which makes you know that Shelly designed this block. Okay. So she's calling it chevron, and I just questioned: is it really a chevron unless it's on point?
Yeah, I don't know.
But it doesn't matter. That's what we're calling it.
Got it.
And she did, just so you know that for a variation, she did contemplate having you make 4 small ones of these, which would look pretty cool. But we decided to make it easy for you. We just make one big one.
Yep.
All right, what do they need, Shelly?
Okay, so we're going to need a focus fabric. Pick your own. Coordinating fabric. Okay. 2. Whoops.
Oh, I got it.
Okay. Okay, we need a light and a dark. Oops, that one's upside down, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
Man, the end of the year, and you're just losing it, girl.
I know it. Well, I don't have pre-planned cuts this time because this one's a little different.
Yeah, because we're using up scraps.
Yes.
And actually, I used up a lot of my scraps making this one, so I have bigger chunks over here.
Right.
So, she's going to tell you what you need of these fabrics, but it's a little bit design your own.
Right.
The main thing is the first fabric.
Right. You need to start out with a rectangle.
I mean, it could be a rectangle or a square. Either way. Just I would use something you have in your scraps, and we want you to make it. If you're going to make 4 little one of these, then have what we're saying here. But let's start with something roughly 5 inch,
5 to 6 inches. You know.
Yeah, squarish, rectangle-ish.
Yes.
Just to get you started.
Yeah, because this makes for less rounds.
So it's pretty easy. We're gonna start with this, and then the only other rule to remember when you're making this block is that when you put on a round, which would be an L shape always around one corner, the same corner, you're going to use the same fabric for both pieces.
Right.
So it's not like a log cabin where you're switching fabrics or anything.
Right.
Yeah, so you're going to build that out, and Shelly had a recommendation on widths.
I would say absolutely no less than 3/4 if you can. Otherwise, you're not going to see it.
Yeah. Shelly originally had said no less than 1 inch, but I used some that were 3/4 just because I had them. I had these real thin pieces, and I thought, well, I want to try to use them.
Right.
So you can. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, if you go less than 1/2 inch, you really won't see it because it'll all be in the seams.
That's for sure.
But if you go less than 3/4, it'll be very little.
And probably no more than 3 inches. Really, probably closer to 2.5. Otherwise, you just got wide pieces. But it's kind of up to you.
Because we think it looks best if you've got multiples of each color in there.
Right.
And in this one, I have 2 of each color, except for one of them, my gray. I have 3 rows because I'm counting the white center. So I've got 2 whites, 2 of my focus, 2 blues, and then 3 grays.
Right.
And I used a good mix. Obviously, in the beginning, when I was picking the placement of my strips, the short pieces, I looked to see which side I had enough to go on, and so that's how I placed those. And then I was trying, because obviously you need to build this out to a square. So I'd put the wider pieces to the narrower side, but that might switch too, so you might have to watch that. So we're gonna go away and we're gonna start sewing. I'm saying we'll come back probably when we have about it halfway done.
Sure.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to start doing that. So, oh, one other thing. Originally, Shelly thought to keep it looking a little more uniform, you should always apply the first piece to the same side. And then I looked at her sample one, and she actually hadn't even done that herself.
I know.
And so I realized it really doesn't matter. And maybe, Shelly has a directional focus fabric. And something like that, it may be more noticeable if you had multiple pieces. But I'm thinking, I mean, even from afar, I doubt you can tell how I just changed it. I pretty much went by
what fits.
What fit.
Yep.
Yeah, if I had a piece long enough, I put it there.
Yeah, I think that's what happened when I did that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's up to you. If you want to be a little more particular, you can try to do them all to the same size, but it doesn't really matter.
And even the strips you're sewing on don't have to be perfectly rectangular. They can be odd shaped.
Right, they can be odd shaped.
Yeah.
And the other, on the pressing, I kept pressing out.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the easiest.
It usually works better, yeah.
Let me make sure. Yeah, I pressed out.
Yeah.
I thought I'd better check, make sure I didn't press in. Okay, all right, so we'll be back with our blocks when we've got them going a little bit. All right, so we have built our blocks out a little ways. Right. Shelly had some stuff she wanted to talk about now.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that, like on this round here, I have this one piece I sewed on that's not quite long enough, but my plan is to just take it, lay it up here like this, and then trim off this so I have a straight edge to sew on the next one. That way, this piece, even though it started out rectangular, it's not going to end up that way, but it's fine. You just need an edge you can sew on.
Right, and so she's also, so when you do that trimming, you lose some from the other side. So just kind of keep that in mind. When I was, when I commented at the beginning, build out the shorter side bigger. Of course, I didn't do that on mine, and so then I really had to do it. But you just got to watch how wide each side is getting and apply pieces that way.
Because right now mine have one side that's an inch bigger than the other.
Oh yeah, mine's about a half inch off, I think.
Yeah.
So the other thing to notice is think about how the color choices you have, how they make the block feel. Mine's looking fairly dark, so that's why I definitely got 2 rows of white in there. I was trying to lighten it up a little bit. Okay, so I probably am going to add, even though I'm at like 9.5 one direction and 10 the other, I'm still going to do at least 2 more rows. These are going to be skinnier rows, just because I want to get a little more variation in there.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it. Just do it and see what happens.
Right. Okay, so we'll have them all finished when we come back. Okay, so we have our finished blocks. I'm gonna show the trimming, not because it's any more difficult, but Shelly is worried about one thing that you might do wrong.
And we didn't really talk about how big to make this.
Oh, we didn't, yeah. So we've made them to roughly 13 inches wide. Mine's a little bigger than that in some places. And in written instructions, we're telling you to do your trimming from these sides, not to the added side. But the only reason we're saying that is that these sides could be small, and say it was a strip this thin, if you trim from that, there wouldn't be anything to sew to the next block.
Right.
So that's really what we want you to watch for.
If they're wide strips on the outer, you can totally trim from there. But
right, so I'm looking at mine. Here's my 12.5 inch ruler. If I line up, I forgot which way I was gonna line it up. I'm gonna line it up like this. And I wanna make that center more square. So I am gonna keep the width on the one direction. So I've got my 12.5. This is going to be kind of a crude, I'll do my final squaring up when I have a better spot. But so I'm going to cut here. I just fake it out there because I don't have any mat, right? Or I don't have the ruler there. Okay. Then turn this way. And let's look at what I have here. If I kind of go up into that upper corner, I'm leaving just a tiny bit in case I'm not looking at this straight while I'm right here, because I don't really want to.
The mat
goof
is
up.
actually ideal size.
No, it's not really 12.5 inch wide. Okay, so I'm going to trim there. I still end up with a fairly rectangular center, but I really haven't lost the feel for how I wanted it to look color-wise by trimming from the inner edges.
Right.
So there.
There you go. Cool.
Yeah. So, and I definitely wanted, between my two blocks, I didn't want them to have the same outer border, so I made sure I did a different one.
Very nice.
Okay. So, that's our final block for 2021. I hope you've enjoyed this year. We have already got plans started for next year.
Right.
Should we tell them anything?
We're hoping to have
We're hoping to
fabric
do
to buy again.
right at the guild. And actually we'll show you that, well, because you'll see the video before the guild meeting in January. But our plan is to do 12 months of improvisational stars next year.
Yes.
So we have
A few.
We have 2 or 3 already planned. We just have to make sure we can find 12. So that's our goal, and we will see you next month.